Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Trinidad and Tobago's finance minister says the Republic's economy doing okay, contrary to what the opposition says. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Friday, 12th May 2023. Details when we return.
Hubbard's Multi-Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Welcome back. Trinidad and Tobago's finance minister says that while the Republic earned $1 billion less than anticipated in the first 6 months of the government's fiscal year, it is not doing as badly as some people would like the country to believe. This, as the government will be adding an additional $3.8 billion to its budget as part of its mid-year review. The finance minister said much of that supplemental allocation will be for ministries to pay off debts owed to suppliers and contractors. Joel Brown of TV6 News reports.
Finance Minister Colm Imbert began the debate of the Supplementation and Variation of Appropriation Financial Year 2023 bill, otherwise known as the mid-year review of the budget, by pointing out that Trinidad and Tobago has been earning more from its natural gas reserves from the basket of prices the government uses for its expenditure calculation, but the same cannot be said for the nation's crude oil reserves.
Taking into account the netback prices for gas from October 22 to March 23, the domestic gas prices for gas October 22 to March 23, the monthly weighted average for the first half of the fiscal year for gas, netback price, $6.98. So therefore, the netback prices we are getting for natural gas the price is better than our budget estimate. So the oil is lower, the gas is higher.
Despite the volatility in the international oil and gas markets, the finance minister said Trinidad and Tobago is doing well at the mid-year point of the government's 2023 financial year, which began on September 1st of last year.
When one looks at the revenue for the first half of the fiscal year, the revenue projected based on the budget estimates was $28.48 billion. The actual revenue received for the period October 22 to March 23 was $27.4 billion, just $1 billion less. So we're not doing as badly as some people would like the country to believe.
The bill outlines a supplemental allocation of $3.85 billion from the Consolidated Fund for several heads of expenditure that include the Office of the President and government ministries, including the Office of the Prime Minister, and also the Tobago House of Assembly.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, the increase in the appropriation is significant, and we in Finance are looking at it. We have some concerns. We would have preferred not to have to supplement the appropriation, but we think these supplementations are very, very important, and one of the main reasons why we are supplementing the appropriation in so many ministries is that we've had some very hard years in the last 7 years.
The finance minister said this resulted in debt owed by government ministries.
Cash is the lifeblood of industry. So we felt it was appropriate to increase the appropriation by this $3.8 billion. As I said, much of this is intended to pay off outstanding bills and arrears to suppliers and contractors who have been very, very patient for the last 7 years.
Jewel Brown, TV6 News.
In the meantime, the Law Association of Trinidad and Tobago says that it had no discussions whatsoever with the Attorney General on any application or the merits of any application for admission to the rank of senior counsel. Meanwhile, the Attorney General says while he chose to speak with the Law Association, he did not engage in a consultation with them. The Prime Minister says he's not surprised by the Law Association's statement, as he said they refused to take part in a discussion on the process for appointing Silk. TV6's political editor Jewel Brown brings us the details.
On Tuesday, the Law Association responded to comments made by Attorney General Reginald Amor about the process for the selection of senior counsel, after 17 attorneys, including the President's husband and the President's brother, received Silk on Monday. The AG had responded to a question from TV6 News.
In politics and in the legal profession, you have with optics sometimes. How would you address any concerns about the optics given certain recipients today who have now been given Silk?
Well, let me address it this way, because I mentioned the Law Association in one of my prior remarks. I consulted with the Chief Justice before I made my recommendations to the Prime Minister, and I also spoke with Mrs. Sibaran Sweet as President of the Law Association, who, to her credit, recused herself because she was one of the names that was under consideration. And she passed that baton to other senior members of the Law Association with whom I had discussions. So the optics are that it is a process that involves more than just the Prime Minister who makes a recommendation to the President. And the optics serve to ensure a fair, transparent, consultative process.
The Law Association said that its counsel was invited by the Attorney General to consult on the applications for senior counsel and explained that a decision was taken by the subcommittee it established, excluding those members who had applied for Silk, to discuss with the AG the setting up of an independent committee headed by the Chief Justice to consider these applications. The Law Association said that a nominee of the subcommittee communicated that position to the AG, but that it was informed in writing by the AG that the Prime Minister had declined its request to meet. The Law Association then declared it had no discussions whatsoever with the Attorney General on any applicant or the merits of any application for admission to the rank of senior counsel. In response to questions from the media on Thursday, the AG referred to the practice that he said had been in place since 1964.
And in my discretion, I could choose to speak with anyone else. So I chose to speak with the Law Association. That's different from a consultation. And so your quotation of what I said yesterday was accurate, and it would not be correct to suggest that I engaged in any consultation with the Law Association. I disclosed the list to them. I invited them to discuss it with me. It so happened they did not because they chose a different process.
Prime Minister Rowley wanted to have the final word.
Surprise, surprise. The Law Association refused to take part in the process, a discussion in the process, and then put out a release that the Attorney General lied. Why aren't you surprised?
On Monday, President Christine Kangulu explained that as President, she was performing her duties in accordance with the Constitution after the selection process was completed. Jewel Brown, TV6 News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
Jamaica's trade deficit reaches the highest since at least 2008. Javon Keys of the TVJ Business Day has that report.
What the country spends on imports continues to exceed what's earned on exports. Now, the Statistical Institute of Jamaica Statin has published the latest trade data for 2022. Jamaica's negative trade balance amounted to $5.8 billion last year. That's higher than the $4.5 billion deficit recorded in 2021. Based on Statin's data since the turn of the century, this is the second time since 2005 that the balance of trade exceeded negative $5 billion. In 2008, Jamaica's trade deficit reached $5.1 billion. Higher costs for imports pushed the country's negative trade balance. For January to December 2022, Jamaica spent $7.7 billion on goods coming into the country, the highest since 2008, the year of the Great Recession. The 30% jump in the cost of imports compared to the previous year was driven by a 24% increase in the cost of raw materials, intermediate goods. A 54% increase in fuels and lubricants also affected the country's import bill. Meanwhile, Jamaica earned more from exports in 2022. The $1.9 billion inflows represented a 28% increase compared to the $1.48 billion earned in 2021. This is the highest export earnings since 2018. The increased value of exports recorded last year was due mainly to a 103% improvement in the export of mineral fuels.
Judges in Jamaica receive confirmation of an increase in their pay packages. Andrea Chisholm of TVJ News reports.
As of April 2023, the salary of the Chief Justice will move to roughly $28.8 million per year. In April 2021, the salary minus allowances was roughly $12.3 million per year. For a senior puisne judge, the new salary is a little over $21.9 million. In 2021, it was over almost $9.9 million. The salary for a puisne judge as of April 2023 is over $20.8 million for the year. In April 2021, the annual salary for a puisne judge was over $9.5 million. Now to the Court of Appeal. As of April 2023, the annual salary for the President of the Court of Appeal is over $26.2 million. In April 2021, minus allowances, it was over $12.3 million. A judge of the Court of Appeal will make over $23.8 million as of April 2023, and it was over $10.8 million in 2021. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clarke said that for the 2021-2022 fiscal year, the salary of judges increased by 6%. For the fiscal years ending 2023 and 2024, the increases were in line with the proposals from the Independent Commission. All allowances, excepting housing and security, were incorporated into the basic salaries.
I wish to remind the House, Madam Speaker, and the public of the scholarly independence required of members of the judiciary, in addition to the requirement that they lead lives of restraint, such that they retain a steely imperviousness to undue influence from any quarter. Furthermore, unlike public servants and politicians, they are forbidden from working in Jamaica in their field of training, which is the law, upon retirement. These factors, Madam Speaker, I am sure, would have influenced the Independent Commission in recommending these compensation levels for members of the judiciary.
Andrea Chisholm, TVJ News.
Bank officials confirm Lone Store coming as CIBC First Caribbean in St. Kitts and Nevis. Glenn Bart of SKN Newsline reports.
Donald Wellington, Managing Director with CIBC First Caribbean, said customers and clients here in St. Kitts and Nevis are about to get an upgrade in products and services. Speaking with SKN Newsline at a recent corporate press conference, Wellington pointed to the soon-to-be unveiled Lone Store, a digital concept made easy for customers. According to the Managing Director, this will be one of several new products the bank will offer.
We are going to be offering all of the services that we did before with a bunch of new services that we believe will greatly enhance their banking experience here in St. Kitts. We want our customers to bank with us as they wish, to use as many digital banking channels as they can, and if that is their desire, to make sure that they really learn about what we have to offer, our products and services. There's a lot that we offer online. And certainly, even if you have to come to the branch, if there's a reason for you to come to the branch, we're happy to welcome you there as well. We have what we call the loan store, which we're going to be launching very shortly. And some of our customers are going to get a happy surprise when they open their emails or go onto their Instagram accounts and realize that they've been pre-approved. And they can fund that pre-approved offer in less than 10 minutes.
CIBC First Caribbean International Bank is a financial services company based in Barbados. It is a Caribbean subsidiary of the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce. Glenn Bart reporting for SK Newsline.
In another item out of St. Kitts and Nevis, Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. Terence Drew, and Premier Mark Brantley of Nevis used the occasion of their visit to London for the coronation of King Charles III to have further discussions on matters related to the relationship between the two islands. Both leaders held breakfast discussions on a range of issues. Premier Brantley posted on his Facebook page that the talks were about deepening the relationship between the federal government and the Nevis Island administration. Glenn Bart again reports.
He wrote, quote, I had the honor of meeting one-on-one with our Prime Minister, Dr. Terence Drew, to discuss matters of St. Kitts and Nevis and how we can continue to deepen the relationship between the federal government, which he leads, and the Nevis Island administration, which I lead. I express thanks to Prime Minister Drew for the excellent tone he has set for our relations and the spirit of inclusion and dialogue that he has fostered. We discussed a host of issues ranging from security to investment to CBI, and I updated him on certain critical projects happening on Nevis, end quote. Prime Minister Drew and Premier Brantley also met with a UK parliamentary group, with the relationship between the United Kingdom and St. Kitts and Nevis being the core of the discussions. It is understood that attempts will be made to enhance the level of cooperation between the two countries.
Hubbards is once again innovating the way you shop with its new online store, providing 24-hour shopping convenience. You can shop now for appliances, hardware, houseware, building material, and more. Free delivery island-wide. Start shopping now at hubbardsHardware.gd. Safe, convenient, reliable.
I am Eddie Frederick, wishing you a restful weekend. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.